Local businesses have also taken a big hit because of the pandemic, but there are relief plans out there to help. Joining me now is Ben Alvarado, Executive Vice President for California Bank and Trust, to offer insight about the health of our local businesses and the Payment Protection Program, also known as PPP. Welcome, Ben.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good, good. Start off by explaining what the Paycheck Protection Program is. We also call it PPP.
Yeah, the Paycheck Protection Program is a program designed by the government to issue funds for business owners of various sizes to maintain employees. There's also some allotment in those funds that they get as a loan, which is potentially 100% forgivable, to pay for additional expenses like mortgage interest or rent expense and some other miscellaneous business expenses.
So what's the current status when we're talking about the Paycheck Protection Program? We've been hearing it, we hear PPP, but where's it at right now?
Well, it's been going on for quite a few weeks now. They're in the second allotment of funding. There are still funds available. Really happy to report at California Bank and Trust, we were able to accomplish our goal of processing every application that was eligible that came our way, which equates to almost 8,800 loan applications that were processed, approved, and then now in the process of being funded. And so that equates to almost $1.6 billion in loans and nearly 140,000 jobs across California that were positively impacted from this program here through California Bank and Trust. There are still funds available, and we continue to process loans.
Well, I think that's great news to hear that you were able to process all those applications and help so many businesses. When we talk about those local businesses, they've really been able to take advantage of the program. Is it helping?
Well, initially the program was designed to keep people at work and to keep businesses running. So when you look at the task that was given to over 5,000 banks nationally to come together to work with these applicants, it's amazing to see how much has been funded, approved, and we've brought so many people back to work, or we've been able to keep them working. The overall intention of the program, I think, has been great, and I think that given some bumps in the road along the way, we've seen some great success. Again, as I mentioned, nearly 8,800 loans in California and Sacramento. California Bank and Trust was able to do over 200 loans for about $40 million. So long-term impact, I think it's still a little early to tell, but so far, so good.
Ben, what would be the end goal of this program? When they thought of it and they put it out there, what was the end goal in mind?
Well, I think the initial goal, the end goal is actually to keep businesses running, to buy some time so that businesses could keep employees working and they could keep their doors open. There's so much unknown. I think we weren't sure how long this was going to last. The fact that it's still going is, I think, for a lot of us a surprise, but also we kind of understand now that we know what we know today. In the beginning, though, it was to establish a time frame to allow businesses to keep the doors open, and that's what they've been able to do.
Yeah, certainly uncharted territory, and all businesses have had to really adjust. We hear also about rules on forgiveness from the Small Business Administration. It's kind of vague, though. What kind of advice do you offer customers?
Yeah, that's a really great question because there is some uncertainty. Things have been a little fluid, and we're trying to figure out, businesses are trying to figure out what next. So initially, it was all about getting the application in. There was a race to get funding. So now that that's calmed down and some of that anxiety has leveled, people are now asking, okay, how do I get this refunded? How do I make sure that I spend this the right way? So while some of those rules are still being fully determined, and now there's also some rules being rewritten and it's been approved by the House, we're waiting for the Senate to vote on it, which would change and loosen up those guidelines a little bit. What we do know and how we are guiding our clients at California Bank and Trust is to, that the 75%, at least as it stands now, needs to be used for payroll. So make sure you're monitoring your payroll expenses and keeping good records on that for that 8-week period that this loan is covering. We know that the other 25% can be used for mortgage interest expenses, lease expenses, and some miscellaneous work expenses. So make sure you're keeping really good records so that you have documentation, because whatever the end rule is, it's going to be related to those key areas. So manage those expenses wisely and document it. And then always keep your CPA, your accountant, and your banker in communication. That's probably the best way to get set up. We also have a website where you can go to it, calbanktrust.com/cares, where there's information that business owners can reference, as well as the Treasury website. We recommend going there regularly and look at the SBA updates as things do change.
Yeah, Ben, there's a lot of information out there and a lot for business owners to understand. And as you said, things are still being determined and, we're still going through it. But I want to thank you for coming on the show today to offer some of your advice and insight. And it's very reassuring to know that you have been able to help a lot of small businesses and there's still funds available for those that need it, right?
Absolutely, there are. And it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having us today.
Take care.
This interview involves commercial content. The products and services featured appear as paid advertising.